The start of the Major League Baseball season is 1 week away, and the clock is ticking on roster decisions. The Yanks, they have an interesting choice to make at shortstop before opening day. So let's talk about the Yanks and their roster decisions with New York Post Yankees beat writer. That would be Joyce down in Tampa. Greg, I got to talk to you about opening day. How ready are you for opening day to get here?
Yeah, it's nice to see a light at the end of the tunnel. 1 week from today, they'll be in the Bronx. It'll be maybe 30, 40 degrees colder than it is here down in Tampa. But yeah, ready for it.
All right, you're ready. I know you're going to miss some of that warm Florida weather as you come up north. But, Greg, we got to talk about the shortstop battle. That started as an open competition between kiner-falefa, Oswald, Peraza, and Anthony Volpe. Where do things stand now, and who is the inside track to win the job?
Yeah, it seems like it's really just down to Oswald Peraza versus Anthony Volpe. Kiner-falefa has started to turn into more of a utility player. They've had him playing outfield in recent days, and then yesterday he started putting catcher's gears on, catching gear on to catch some bullpens. He's their emergency third catcher if needed. So he hasn't started in shortstop. I think it's almost 2 weeks now. So it's really just been Volpe and Peraza every other day. I think Volpe's starting at shortstop today. Peraza got it yesterday, so they're pretty split. Obviously, Volpe's had the loudest camp, of anybody in that group. He's really impressed, with the bat, in the field, on the bases, just with his baseball IQ, his instincts. He's caught the attention of a lot of veterans on the team, the staff, front office, all that. But obviously Oswald Peraza, impressed last year when he came up, got called up in September and even got a playoff start at shortstop. He's seen as the better defender. So, it seems like they're going to take this decision down to the wire. They have to submit their roster by the morning of opening day. They leave Tampa on Monday, have an exhibition in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. So I know that they're leaving the door open to kind of take their time, as much time as they have on this. And, it seems like Peraza might still be the slight favorite just because he has that experience. He's on the 40-man roster. Volpe only has 22 games experience at AAA, but, he's done everything he can so far in camp to put himself, right in the conversation.
All right, in the conversation, this could go down to the wire, Yankees fans, so we'll see how this all plays out. Now, one can look at the Yanks roster, Greg, and say that they have infield depth. However, as you know, everyone can't make the 26-man roster, so will the Yanks look to trade some of the club's infield depth here?
Yeah, it certainly seems like, if they can find the right return, can't rule out a trade happening, especially for somebody like a Gleyber Torres or even Kiner-falefa. The Dodgers and Rockies were two teams that lost shortstops to injuries early in camp, and nothing's happened yet. They haven't gone outside to replace those guys, so that remains to be seen whether teams will offer up what the Yankees, could need. They could use some starting pitching depth, obviously, with Frankie Montas having surgery and Carlos Rodon starting the season on the IL. They are pretty thin there after the top five guys. So if they can find a return that could bring something back that they need, I think a trade can't be ruled out. But Brian Cashman said yesterday he's not just going to make a trade just to make a trade. They have some options there, which includes sending Volpe down to the minors and keeping, all those infielders on the 26-man roster, at least to start the season. And you never know what happens elsewhere, once the season starts, whether it's injuries to the Yankees or, injuries elsewhere in the league that leads to a team coming calling to the Yankees. But it's certainly on the table over the next week and even into the season if they don't make a deal before opening day.
Yeah, interesting to see what they will do and if they value the depth and keep the depth because, as you said, Greg, anything can happen. Now, shortstop isn't the only roster decision coming up for the Yankees. What other roster spots are up for grabs, and how soon do you expect the Yanks to announce their decision on all these spots? Is everything going to come down to the wire here?
Yeah, so center field opened up when Harrison Bader strained his oblique. He's going to start the season on the IL, so they're going to have somebody fill in at center field, whether that means sliding Aaron Judge over from right field or sliding Aaron Hicks over from left field. But Hicks was also in a battle, competition for the starting left field job with Oswaldo Cabrera, who's played almost every position this spring. So he seems like one of those super utility types as well. So, they have some options there. Rafael Ortega was a non-roster guy who's played all three outfield spots that had a hot start to camp. He's kind of cooled off a little bit since then, but they like his left-handed bat. There's also Estevan Florial. He was once one of their top prospects, and every now and then will flash that talent and remind of his potential. But he's had some issues with swinging and missing, and so he's out of options. So if they don't put him on the 26-man roster, they'd have to put him through waivers and risk losing him. So it's possible they carry him, as an extra outfielder to start the season. So there's a lot of different ways they could go. Usually they have their roster set by the time they leave Tampa. But we'll see this year, especially with the game on Tuesday in DC, another exhibition before they actually get back to New York. So they might take as much time as they can to figure everything out.
All right, they're going to try to figure everything out. The light is there at the end of the tunnel for Greg Joyce and the Yankees. Opening day is almost here, just a week away, but the Yankees still have some roster decisions to make. We will see how all of that shakes out. That is Greg Joyce, New York Post Yankees beat writer. Greg, enjoy the last bit of Tampa weather that you can, and we'll see you up north soon.
Thanks, Dexter. Appreciate it.
Anytime.